Just talking about it makes my hair stand on end. But this
Hairy
one,
hands.
I do not have so, I do have some hair. But anyway, so
That's empowerment. Frida Kahlo.
Frida Kahlo what?
It's the topic. Frida. So we recently watched a movie based on Frida Kahlo, is that her surname?
Yes,
Kahlo's biography.
The movie was not about just Frida's art, not just about her painting, but about what she represents.
And she channeled her suffering and pain into something like art. And that, for a lot of people who also feel like they're going through some pain and suffering, it's very inspirational.
I didn't know much about Frida, and I thought movie would give me that opportunity to get to know Frida as a person.
Especially, the eyebrows is very iconic.
Very iconic.
You see her, especially if you go to bookstores or art places.
I had particularly noticed her in feminist circles.
She had that mentality to push boundaries, cultural boundaries, social, what was expected of her as a woman in that culture. And I could see the same thing with her physical injuries. She would push against them, and she started walking again because she didn't believe those limits.
I thought the movie was good. I have to say I didn't see anything really inspirational to me as a woman. I know this is very controversial to say because I know she has a lot of fan base. And rightfully, of course, she was, she is still very influential. But the movie portrayed Frida as having pain and suffering as an identity. She also had other things going on in her life that I don't think were portrayed in the movie a lot. Of course, she had suffered through her marriage, physical difficulties and so on, but so do a lot of other people. I don't think that was her identity.
I don't know how accurate the movie was. Just going by what I saw in the movie, I think there was that sense that she was making her pain as her identity, and although it is inspirational, but I don't personally like the idea of romanticizing pain and suffering. And there was a quote from her that she said, "I hope never to return." For me, what's inspirational is experiencing pain and suffering, and despite it, being life-affirming. Now, again, this reminds me of Nietzsche, because Nietzsche, he was not new to suffering. He suffered, he had physical issues most of his life. Despite that, his philosophy is life-affirming. He believed in, loving your fate, even if it's going to be repeated again over and over and over again.
It's about acceptance.
I didn't feel that in the movie from her.
That's right. Me neither. It came across to me like she hated what she was going through, and she just portrayed that through her paintings, and that's all she was. She was a bisexual, and that's probably why we see her pictures a lot in LGBTQ movements. What I didn't understand was the focus on the sex scenes and nudities. Where you've got people stereotyping, for example, gay women. So they've got to have certain looks, they've got to act a certain way. And I felt like this is what we got with Frida because she was bisexual. She came across as very promiscuous, but I'm not sure if that was the case.
We have to accept that there may be much more to her as a person and her life than what they have shown in the movie. It seems to me that she was a great artist. Everybody has pains and sufferings. But again, I think what made her unique was that she challenged social norms.
Can I just say, what stood out to me? The part where she paints an article from the newspaper about a man who has killed his wife, I think it's called Little Nibs or something. That to me was also part of Frida, but the movie just skipped right over it.
Yeah.
So she definitely did have more than that. Following from that, it also reminds me of another movie that I watched. I couldn't stop but compare the two in my head. An Indian movie, and it was about a woman called Gangabai. Gangabai was, she was taken into prostitution. I'll probably do another video on that. But what the movie did was, again, it was about her life as a woman and the things that she achieved as a strong woman. And it was a very inspirational movie. There was nothing about nudity. There was nothing about her sex life. but we all knew she was a prostitute. So I think the movie could have done, this movie about Frida could have done something like that without portraying so much nudity and so much about Frida's sex life.
So now I come to what I think is the psychological aspect of this person or the movie, and that is the psychological concept of pain. I think there's that tendency, for some people at least, to think that the pain they experience is unique. With her, this is the idea that is portrayed, that her pain was so unique and so intense, so it's inspirational. I don't think it was unique in any sense, and I think a lot of times the movie shows that she would drink away her pains, and she had access to, I think, morphine in her bed when she was suffering. If it was morphine, I don't know. There was an injection. I'm guessing it was morphine. She had means to mask the pain.
That doesn't mean that her pain was not unique.
There are other people who have experienced similar pains, physical and emotional.
So what makes you compare Frida's pain to other people?
For me, it's interesting psychologically because we tend to think that our pains are very unique, especially psychological pain. Again, specifically like when people experience anxiety, they feel very isolated. They tend to feel like they are very alone in experiencing this specific pain. But from what I have seen over the years is that we have much more in common in pain than we think we do.
To be honest, it looked like she was alone in pain.
I think she was still well off to afford healthcare. But I guess there were people in places where they can't even afford that.
Are you saying that because even though she suffered and she had a lot of pain, because she had ways to manage the pain, whether that was through medication or drinking alcohol and so on, that she was not as inspirational as you would have liked her to be? Because maybe you would have liked somebody to embrace their lives without going into drinking.
Yes, exactly that. If I have to think of an inspirational figure, you remember the movie or the story Papillon, based on true story, and it's about this person who ends up in prison in a very difficult position, and once in a while they will put him in isolation in a room, and he stays there sometimes for years. And I mean, in one occasion he was in that room for 5 years. He didn't have access to alcohol or something to distract himself, to numb himself, to any of that. And he came out and he had the mindset that, look, I beat you, I did it. And to me, that's very inspirational. And even, there's a famous part in the movie Papillon when he's finally escaped from prison and he says, you so-and-so, I think something like, I'm still here, I'm still alive. That's very inspirational. But I didn't get that sense from the character of Frida.
For me also, a strong woman would be somebody who doesn't look for distractions, who will go through life, who will embrace their journey, however difficult and hard it is. And it seemed like Frida did do that, but also I didn't like that she was also going through drinking and she was numbing her pain through alcohol, or that the movie portrayed her whole life, her whole identity as a woman who was suffering through every part of her life. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe she was feeling empowered when she was wearing men's clothing. Maybe she was empowered by sharing her experiences. Didn't she paint herself and her husband? And there didn't seem to be any pain in that. So maybe it was just her experiences. I have to say that we don't know how accurate the movie is.
So if we are wrong on any of this, blame the movie and blame
Don't blame
Salma. What's her name?
Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek.
She's a very good actress, I have to say.
Yeah,
acted really well.
I have to admit, she did a good job, I think, in this movie.
She did.
But I'm not keen on her movies. I haven't seen any movies of her that
But have you seen her movies?
Yeah, I've seen one of her movies. I can't remember the name. She plays in the movie with the person who did Midnight in Paris, Owen Wilson, and I saw that on Prime. It was not a good movie at all.
Yes, I remember. That was a new one. Yeah, she's lost it.
That's the only movie I've seen with her.
Her vibe,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Can I just say,
No.
there was something else that I didn't like about the movie. I wasn't keen on. Frida had an affair with Trotsky. There was a scene where she comes into Trotsky's room, and as she's walking away, he grabs her, and there's just like that sexual tension between them. That made me so uncomfortable.
So this brings us to another question. What is the term for this? Being sexually active,
Promiscuous?
promiscuous. Is being promiscuous empowering?
Not to me.
Well, I think again that's subjective.
That's
Maybe
subjective.
to some women, being that type of person, being sexually free in that sense, maybe that's empowering.
But there's a difference though. That's not being sexually free to me. That's why I compared her with another movie, called Gangabai, which is about empowerment through sexuality.
Right.
And it's very empowering, it's so inspirational. It's just talking about it makes my hair stand on end. But this
Hairy
one,
hands.
I do not have I do have some hair. But anyway, so
That's empowerment. You acknowledge.
the hair.
Yeah.
So anyway, Trotsky grabbing her and pulling her, and that sexual tension. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe she had the affair because he gave her something. He gave her emotional comfort. Not all women have affairs because they're sexually driven.
Right.
That's a side effect of having an affair. Maybe she had an affair because she was so unfilled with a husband who was constantly cheating on her. Again, it really, really did not work for me. And I do think that the movie was very unfair to Frida as a person.
Okay. And with that,
Question time.
go on then.
Right. Okay, I have 2 questions for you. Did you like Frida's painting?
I'm not gonna say I didn't like it, but I'm not gonna say I liked it. I don't.
You didn't connect?
I didn't connect. What about you? Did you like her paintings?
I did. I liked her paintings, yes. I liked the one that she drew of herself in the hospital. I thought it was very meaningful and I loved it. Would you recommend this movie to anyone?
I think they could have done a better job with the movie. So no, I wouldn't personally. You?
I would recommend the movie, especially to women, because Frida is a very inspirational character, and I would love to know what women think about her character and how they find her inspirational. So, for example, did anybody find Frida being overly sexual in the movie empowering? And that's it.